Welcome to Mali Building Systems Siniat how-to video series. In this video, we're going to show you how to apply the finish on a Siniat drywall. The finish I'm referring to is preparing your Siniat drywall to accept your desired decoration. There are two finishing methods: full scheme and flush jointed finish. Mali has a fantastic skimming compound called Easy Light. In this video, I will show you a full skim using the Easy Light application procedure. After that, I will show you how to ensure that the Siniat drywall is correctly prepared to receive the desired decoration. For a full skim, you'll need a hand hook, a steel trowel, a rubber float, block brush, a hand or electric mixer, a bucket for mixing, a taping knife, and as a tip for your floors, you can use some cover sheets. At this point, I would like to introduce you to my assistant and specialist applicator. This is a critical skill, and if you're not an experienced applicator, it will be best to bring in a specialist like Patrick. Hey Patrick.
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good, man.
Let's begin. First up, the mixing. Use only cold, clean water and do not add any foreign matter in your mix. The mixing ratio is approximately 2:1, 2 being the water and 1 being the Easy Light compound. Let it soak for 10 minutes before mixing. Mix slowly until there are no lumps. Do not overmix. Always use clean tools and clean your tools after mixing. Do not mix more Easy Light than what is required. If you can do this, then you know your mix is perfect. Prepare your surface. The surface must be clean and free of dust and oil residue. Reinforce your joints using Siniat fiber tape. Now let's apply the compound. Note, don't apply when the temperature is below freezing. Begin with the first application. The thickness of your application must be 3 to 6 millimeters. Dry for approximately 45 minutes. The weather may influence the drying rate, so you will need to touch the wall to make sure it is ready for the next step. It must be touch dry. The next step is floating using the rubber float. After floating, remove the fat using a steel trowel. Allow it to dry for 24 hours. After it is completely dry, you can now paint your skimmed wall. Do not sand the skimmed wall, and always apply a plaster primer before your finishing coat. Using an epoxy paint is not recommended. Please consult the paint manufacturer's specifications for the correct primer and the application methods. If you do not do a full skim, then you need to do a flush jointing. Flush jointing is reinforcing the joints and covering the screws before the final decoration. Use Mali Building Systems jointing plaster with the Siniat fiber tape to reinforce the joints. The same tools will be needed, except you will not need a block brush or rubber float, but you will need a sanding block and P80 grid sandpaper. Ensure that the surface is clean and free of dust or oil residue. Also make sure that the screw heads are countersunk. In other words, The screw heads must not extrude. They must not be flush either. They must be approximately 2 mm under the surface of the board, but be careful not to push them through the board. Apply the Siniat fiber tape. Mix the Marley jointing plaster. The mixing procedure is the same as that of the full skim mixing procedure. Apply the first coat of the jointing compound using a 150 mm taping knife. Spot cover all the screw holes using the same method. Allow to set for approximately 8 to 24 hours until completely dry. Apply the second coat of the jointing compound using the 300 mm steel trowel. Again, allow to dry for 8 to 24 hours. Once this is dry, you can sand with P80 grit sandpaper. Then it is ready to paint. Remember to seal the entire surface with plaster primer and allow to dry before applying the final paint coat. Please consult the paint manufacturer's specifications for the correct primer and application methods. Again, application of an epoxy paint is not recommended. You can also use wallpaper or tiles as a decoration on the Siniat drywall. If you want to decorate using wallpaper, you must ensure that the surface is clean of dust and oil residue before application. Apply wallpaper according to the manufacturer's instructions. If you want to tile the Siniat drywall, then you do not need to full skim or flush joint, but you need to seal the drywall with a waterproofing sealant. Please refer to the relevant manufacturer specifications for the application method. Please do not hesitate to visit our website www.marleybuildingsystems.co.za for more information about building Siniat drywall products. Thank you for watching and look out for our next how-to video.